Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I want to explain to you the circular flow of expenditure and income. So basically, when you calculate this is what when you want to calculate the gross domestic domestic product or the GDP. So in calculating the GDP at this moment, I want to calculate using the aggregate demand. So the aggregate demand calculation. So when you calculate the GDP using the aggregate demand, this is what you have to do. You have to calculate the consumption, which is stand for C, and then you add with uh, investment. So investment usually money that is coming from the bank that the bank collected from the people who put the money in the saving account. And the third term is the from the government expenditure. So the government expenditures is like when the government build the road, build the bridge, and also for the salary of the uh, people who work for the government. And also you have to add with the export, which is 10 export minus import. So if the export more than the import, then you can call it as the a net export. But if the import is more than export, then you call this as the net import. For the GDP, this one is actually when the export is more than the import, this is actually increase the amount of output. So the output is increased because it's more money coming to the country instead of money that going out of the country. Export, when you send uh, goods or services, let's say to overseas, then the people who buy your product or services will send the money back to you. So that's it's actually flow of money that is go to the country. But this one, that's what creates the output, excuse me, to be decreased when import is more than export. So that's the calculation of GDP. And the next one, I want to explain to you about this. Oh, this is done too. Okay. My switch is broken. Sorry for that. In calculating the circular flow expenditure or the circular flow of money within the country, you have to find the disposable income first. So the disposable income, or usually stand for DI. Disposable income is actually money that is ready for you for saving and consumption. So this is stand for saving plus consumption. Consumption. So that's disposable. So where this disposable is coming from? So this disposable is coming from your salary, or if within the uh, size of the country, stand for the national income minus tax. So that's why I say disposable income is money that is ready for you to spend and to save. That's the disposable income. So salary, let's say if your salary is $1,000, then tax is let's say 30%. Then this is also your tax supposed to be $300, then your disposable income should be $700. So let's say out of this $700, you spend $300. Sorry, you save this saving account and you spend as a consumption for $400. So that's how to calculate the disposable income. Okay, now we start with the disposable income itself in making the circular flow of money. Okay, let's say assume that we start with this one. This is disposable income or the DI. This is disposable income. Right? You can see this disposable income uh, from this side. Let's say from this disposable income you use for consumption. This is consumption. Your disposable income. Uh, sorry, this is disposable income, and this is supposed to be a consumer. Consumer, or this is you. Okay, from the consumer. I think this is too big. My whiteboard is too small. That's okay. Let's say this is a consumer. So money from the consumer will goes to remember when I tell you DI is saving and consumption. So this one will go to the economy, which is consumption. Consumption. So you injected money to the economy, and the other one will go to the saving. Let's say this is saving to the bank. Okay, saving to the bank. So this is financial institution. Okay, and this one, so your money will goes to direction. The first direction you will consume. You will pay for gasoline. You will pay for your food. You will pay for school and everything. So this goes injected to the uh, economy. And most of the time, the consumption usually will take up uh, between 70% to 80% of the total output. So the national output usually uh, injected with the consumption uh, from the household. Okay, and then after this consumption, then your money will go to here. Okay, this consumption, and then money from the bank or financial institution will goes to here. Let's say this is an investor. So assume that an investor will invest the money by building of everything. Let's say building a home for the real estate. So that money that if they lend from the bank, which is our money, then they will inject it to the economy using this. So they also will inject it to here. So after here, then this is supposed to be consumption plus investment. So remember when calculating the GDP using the aggregate demand, C plus I plus G plus export and import. So after this, you will find here, this is, let's say, export and this is import. If it's export, the money will go here. If it's import, the money, Sorry, it's vice versa actually. This is import, the money out of the country, and this is export. The money go to the country. But before here, we have like the government expenditure here. Okay? Like the government spend money from the state financing or in yeah, state financing, something like that. So after here, then you can find the C, I, G, and the net export or the net import. It depends. If the export is more than the import, then it's called net export. Well, actually, the net export will increase the output. So this is supposed to be the output. GDP is output within 1 year. Okay. Uh, okay. After here, this is what we call the uh, output here. So this is the output, okay, or this is the output or the GDP. And then you can find the government here. The government inject money here, and also the government give the transfer of payment here. This is called a transfer of payment. So usually the transfer of payment is in the form of subsidies where the government gives some money to the needy. They get it from the taxpayer, and if you're not eligible for the transfer of payment here, then you don't get the transfer of payment from the government. So your disposable income here or the GDP here is actually stopping here. Okay, that's all for the circular flow of expenditure and income, which is we can calculate the amount of GDP. So this is based on the aggregate demand. Okay, I think that's all for the uh, this topic. Thank you very much.